My name is Jack. I'm a volunteer ranger, stationed out in a nowhere patch of Appalachia. The map doesn't bother labeling. If you think that sounds like a noble job, you've never done it. Most days, I sit in a crooked wooden chair on the front porch of a government-funded shack that smells like old boots and scorched coffee, watching trees sway. My real job is making sure no idiot tourist stumbles into something they won't come back from. Technically, I'm not supposed to be here. I traded 5 years for robbery. No gun, no hostages, just bad choices and a friend with worse ideas. The judge called me a cautionary tale. The Institute gave me an alternative. They needed bodies out in the red zones, and I had the right mix of dumb and desperate. So I traded prison bars for ranger greens. The cabins got power, barely. Coffee runs 24/7 from a cracked percolator with a mean streak. We've got a working radio, old maps, and a corkboard full of yarn lines that don't make sense unless you've been here long enough. The mountains haven't swallowed the town's whole, only because of this place. People don't know it, but monsters are real. Not movie monsters, but real ones. The kind with too many joints in the wrong places, or no face at all. They live past the fog line, and they don't like being watched. Me and Roger, we're what you get before the real hunters show up. We tag the creatures when we can, track migration patterns, and warn hikers off with fake trail closures and wildlife signs. Every now and then, we radio it in, and somebody with better weapons and worse bedside manner comes through to clean up. Roger's my supervisor, older than dirt, and just as bad-tempered. He's been doing this job since before I was born, and knows all the unwritten rules. He talks like someone filed his voice with a rasp and then glued it back together wrong. He's got a theory about how all pizza went downhill after 1998, and we fight about toppings more than protocol. But he's decent, calls me son sometimes without meaning to, and I don't correct him. He's been running this outpost longer than some of the trees have been standing. He told me 2 things the first time we met. Coffee's always free, and he doesn't tolerate whining. He's in his 50s, looks older, acts younger. He walks with a limp from a bad fall in the 90s, but still hikes faster than I do. He keeps a radio clipped to his belt like it's part of his body and believes in eyes, not electronics. Roger chews mints instead of smoking, drinks coffee black as tar, and still reads printed reports, even though I keep showing him how the tablet works. He calls it witchcraft. Despite all that, he's sharp enough to train rookies, fix a busted perimeter alarm, and tell the difference between a bobcat and a monster by the spacing in the tracks. The Institute is a lot more widespread than I initially thought. Most people just don't know it exists. It started quiet, small teams, scattered bases, all operating in secret. The kind of secret where if you know about it, you're either part of it or something's gone very, very wrong. These days, it's more organized, still hidden, still serious, but there's structure now. Divisions, clearance levels, training manuals. Still no public website or HR department, but that's not the kind of place this is. Their job, and now ours, is simple in theory. keep the monsters out of sight and the public out of danger. They don't hunt every creature. Not all of them are hostile. Some are just displaced, migrating, lost. But the dangerous ones, the ones that take, twist, feed, and more often than not, they get put down. We're not hunters. We're field rangers. We're the first boots on the ground when something moves weird in the woods. We track signs, check cameras, make notes, and log disturbances. If something crosses the fog line that shouldn't be there, we call it in. That's the job. Surveillance, containment, prevention. Most days are boring, stale coffee and perimeter checks. But once in a while, we find something worth calling in. A deep gouge in a tree trunk too high for a bear. A pile of feathers arranged in a spiral. Or worse, missing hikers found in a ditch with all of their blood drained and only the index finger missing. Those are the busy days, the bad days. I started writing this down to make sense of things. Not for a book deal, just for me. The days blend out here. The rules are strange. I figured if I kept it all in my head, these are my stories. You never forget your first monster. Mine was a Ridgeback crawler. Long as a sedan, skin like wet bark, and it didn't move right. All bent limbs and slow shifts. We found it early one morning, about a mile off trail. A storm had knocked over a fallen pine, and the crawler was wedged underneath. It twitched. It made a low, hurt sound, not quite like an animal, closer to a pressure valve trying to release. Then it opened its eyes, yellow. No pupils, just an empty, endless gaze, staring slow and wide. "That's a crawler," Roger said, squatting near it. It tried to pull itself free, but the tree was too heavy. Its back was arched wrong. I took a step closer, hand on my sidearm. "Don't shoot it," Roger said. "It's dying, and the Institute doesn't pay for panic fire." A thick, black liquid leaked from its mouth, smelling awful. Part roadkill, part gasoline. Roger tossed me a small leather-bound book with rubber band around it. It was water-warped, full of notes and rough sketches. A monster hunter's Bible, older than me. "Now it's yours," he said. I flipped through the new field guide. Everything was categorized by region, with entries for known monsters. The Ridgeback crawler was in there, sketched sideways with a big, red X across the spine. "Says they don't usually travel solo," I said. "They don't, so it's best we get a move on," Roger replied. I tore a fresh page from the back and began writing, adding the time, location, condition, and my own sketch. We radioed it in once we were sure it wasn't going anywhere. The Institute sent a tagging team the next morning. 3 guys in sealed suits with tranquilizers and a truck built like a mobile freezer. I learned that crawlers don't kill clean. They take their time. They break joints first. They move fast when they want to, low to the ground, all elbows and speed. They are pack monsters that could devastate entire Back at the cabin that night, I flipped through the guide. Trolls to the east. Big things, slow, but mean. One page just read, "Do not talk near the old quarry. Wakes them up." Roger was boiling water for instant noodles. "Too many types. You'll run into crawlers, trolls, goblins, maybe even a snatcher if you're unlucky." "Snatchers?" I asked. "They drag folks off and leave your clothes folded behind. You'll know 'em if you hear the clicking." I found the page for snatcher in the book. No notes, no drawing, just blank space. "They all hunt for food, every one of them," Roger said later that night. "Even trolls. Flesh is flesh, and once they get a taste for human, they come back." When I asked why us, he shrugged. "They like the taste. Easy prey. You ever notice how we walk through the woods with our heads down? We don't look up. Our survival instincts are pretty low for a species as a whole, nowadays especially." I wrote it down. After the crawler, Roger figured it was time to earn my stripes. Seeing one is one thing. Getting close enough to touch one is a different game. Tagging is the most important part of the job. It's crawling through dirt and praying whatever you're tracking doesn't suddenly decide it's hungry. The Institute sorts the monsters by color code. Blue, docile; yellow, unpredictable; and red, hostile. My first tag was a code yellow, a mossback. It was an ugly thing, walking like a deer that had never figured out how legs were supposed to bend, looking like driftwood covered in moss. We found it under a covered bridge, 2 valleys west of camp. Locals reported weird smells and animal bones. You're up. Think of it like tagging a cow, but the cow might decide to rip your face off," Roger said, sliding the tracker unit into my hand. We waited until sundown. Just past dark, we spotted the mossback crawling up the riverbed. Roger kept watch from the road. I slid down the embankment and crawled under the bridge, sinking my hands into wet mud. I kept low, moving slow, until I was 10 feet away. The smell hit me first, pond water and rot. Then it turned its head, and I saw the thing grafted into its neck, a human jaw. Not bone, flesh, still damp. It looked like it had been chewed and stuck there, like some kind of prize. I don't know if it was part of the creature or just something it had taken from a body. I held my breath, leaned in, and slapped the tracker just behind the front leg. It twitched, but didn't bolt. I hit it with a light sedative, enough to make it sluggish, not enough to knock it out. Roger's voice came over the radio. "Tag clean. Time to go." I backed out slow, boots sinking, and didn't stand up until I was back on the trail. We called it in, and the Institute sent a retrieval crew. Roger handed me a clipboard and said, "Congratulations, you've officially poked something dangerous and lived to log it." That was my first tag. I've done dozens since, but that one sticks. The way it looked at me when I moved, like it didn't care what I was, just wondered how long I'd last if it felt like chewing. The first time I met a hunter, I didn't even know what I was looking at. Up until then, hunters were a line item in the Ranger's handbook. I'd heard the name tossed around by Roger and a few other field guys. Always said in that way people talk about someone they both respect and fear. Like myth wrapped in denim or old leather. We were halfway through our second shift when a call came in. Family reported a missing 9-year-old kid named Jameson on the Ridge Trail. Mom kept repeating, "It took him. I saw it. It took him." The dad said the thing looked like a tree with arms, probably 7 feet tall. A troll. That didn't sit right, as trolls weren't supposed to be in these woods. Then the door opened, and in walked a guy I'd never seen before. He didn't look like much, rough around the edges, pack slung across his shoulder. But there was a calm about him that didn't match the chaos in the room. Roger recognized him instantly. "Carver. Didn't expect to see you here." Roger gave him the rundown. Carver barely reacted, listened, then stared at the floor tile for a second, doing some kind of mental math, and simply said, "Show me the trail." I watched him disappear into the trees. He didn't flinch, didn't hesitate. He definitely didn't look like someone doing this for the first time. They came back hours later. Carver was carrying the kid. He walked out of the woods like it was nothing. The boy, Jameson, was covered in mud, eyes wide, arms locked around the man's neck. Behind them, the wind kicked up like something had been left behind, and didn't like it. Carver didn't say much, just handed the kid over, gave Roger a quick debrief, and started packing up his gear. I walked over and asked, "You're a hunter?" He mumbled a half answer, wanting to get going. Roger came over. "Jack, meet Sam Carver. Been doing this longer than most of us have had radios." Later, Roger told me what really happened. Carver tracked the troll solo, found the pit where it stashed the boy, used a flare and a net lined with wolfsbane to disorient it, got the kid out, tagged the creature, and walked him home. And the part that really stuck, he wasn't even assigned to the case. He just stumbled on it, stepped in because he could. "Isn't that against protocol?" I asked. Roger grunted. "Yeah, that's Carver for you." A few weeks later, we heard about an institute memo, creatures migrating into areas they hadn't been seen in for decades. Trolls, crawlers, worse. Roger looked tired. "Means the maps we've been working off are useless. Means the job just got harder. Something within the region was changing. And we were going to feel the effects of it sooner rather than later. The thing about meeting a real hunter like Carver is that it changes your idea of what bravery looks like. I figured the next time something went wrong, the Institute would send another Carver or someone like him. They didn't, because I got there first. We were assigned to clear the South Ridge Trail, babysitting duty for a school field trip. I was halfway through sipping my third cup of cold coffee when we got the call. Unit 7, we've got a missing kid. Last known location, near Cooper's Ridge. Cooper's wasn't on the map anymore. It had been removed years ago. Too many sightings. Too much bad luck. Protocol says you report missing minors near a red zone immediately. And wait. Help was 20 minutes out. I looked at Roger. "He's a kid," I replied. He nodded. "I'll cover you from the ridge. Take a flare." The trail down was narrow and steep. I found him crouched behind a rotting log, hugging his knees, shaking hard enough to rattle. Then I saw it, behind him, crouched low, a dark thing with long, jointed limbs and no neck. The skin looked oily, stretched too tight. Its elbows were wrong, bent in ways that didn't follow any kind of anatomy I knew. I didn't have time to think. I pulled the flare from my belt, snapped the cap off, and lit it with my glove. It flared bright red in the dim gulch light. The thing shrieked, reared back, eyes flaring white as it tried to shield its face. I didn't wait to see if it worked. I grabbed the kid with one arm, hoisted him like a sack of flour, and ran. It followed. I could hear the thing crashing through brush behind us, shrieking like it was drowning in its own voice. Its eyes were still fogged from the light, but that didn't stop it from tracking. Its claws raked trees and rocks as it lunged after us. I didn't look back. We ran until I couldn't feel my legs. We cut through a shallow stream, hoping the water would kill the trail. The kid clung to me, quiet, scared, but not slowing me down. We waited behind a boulder for a few minutes. At some point, I didn't hear the thing anymore. When the Institute boys arrived, they were suited up and armed to the teeth. Late, of course. They took statements, took the flare casing, took the credit. I didn't care. Kid was alive. That's what mattered. Roger didn't say much when they left. He just handed me a slice of pizza from the cooler, the good kind. Something shifted after that. Roger started listening to me a little more, trusted me a little deeper. I wasn't just the convict with a clipboard anymore, and that meant more to me than I'll ever care to admit. I guess that's the last story for now. My community service hours are up. Time served, as they say. 5 years walking ridgelines, tagging monsters, hauling gear, updating files. The clipboard's full. The field guide's a mess of ink and dog-eared pages, but it's as updated as I could make it. Yesterday, I turned in my badge, dropped off my rifle, gave back the tracker. The Institute sent a clean envelope with a release letter, said I was free to go. Just like that. Roger was waiting out front when I came out of the cabin for the last time. He handed me a mug of coffee, and we watched the wind cut through the trees. He stuck out his hand. It was a hard shake, solid, firm enough to say goodbye, and heavy enough to mean something else too. "You got somewhere you're heading?" he asked. "Don't know yet." He nodded. "World's full of opportunities." I took a sip of coffee. "It's also full of monsters." That got him to smile, just barely. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't thinking about staying. You walk these woods long enough, you start to feel things. Like the mountains are watching. Like something out there knows your name. Maybe the Institute doesn't really let anyone go. If you're reading this, I'm going to assume one of two things. 1, you stumbled across this journal by accident, in which case, close it now, put it back where you found it. Walk away and never look at these woods the same again. Or 2, you're someone like me. Maybe you screwed up somewhere back down the line. Maybe you're looking for something to give your life shape. If that's the case, you've got guts, and this might be the place for you, But if you're going to keep going, do yourself a favor. Read the field guide, cover to cover. Make notes. Cross things out. Add your own. The Institute's official files are fine, but they don't breathe like a book that's been in the field. Learn how things move. Learn what they eat, what they fear, what they wait for. It'll save your life, probably more than once. I don't know where I'm going next. Could be a diner in a small town. Could be another call from Roger. Doesn't matter. If we ever cross paths out there in the fog, you'll know me by the beat-up ranger jacket I wear. Roger let me keep it. Until then, watch the tree lines, check your corners, and keep moving. See you around. This is Ranger Jack, signing off.